What's up, guys? Since I will not be doing a Castmac chat tonight, my usual night Tuesday, or when the Braves have an off day, we don't have one of those for the foreseeable future, and so many sports on that I am keeping track of at the same time, so it would probably be an ineffective chat. So I wanted to come on here and kind of do a more long-form video talking about the Braves, where we sit. And I know we all want to be not 2 games under 16 and 18, and we wanted to spend more money and get blue chip free agents and all that jazz. But let's give some credit where credit is due. Alex Anthopoulos finding Verdugo and giving him a 1-year, $1.5 million deal. We're 11-5 since he has put on a Braves uniform. Nick Allen is the best defensive shortstop per outs above average. I know that's not the end-all be-all stat, but and he's held his own, 6 stolen bases, and giving us a lot of speed and a lot of different ways to score, because Orlando Arcia is not scoring from first on that double last night. And just the stabilizing force that he has been defensively, few of those plays last night. Don't know if Orlando makes them how the last couple of years have gone for Orlando. And yes, you still have the strikeouts and the quick at-bats, but you also have the pesky at-bats, and you feel like that there's going to be something positive in a Nick Allen game every single game, whether he gets on base, whether he makes a defensive play or does something on the bases that makes you happy. And that was a kind of a throwaway trade that everybody just thought it was going to be depth and all that stuff. And I've heard some people say the Braves dollar store moves. I for one love the dollar store, because you can buy a lot of things for not expensive, and clearly Nick Allen and Alex Verdugo are that as well, and they have paid big dividends. Obviously, the plan was probably Jeff Hoffman, Tanner Scott, and Jurickson Profar. And the Jeff Hoffman thing, I still don't get. It fell through because of medicals, but it fell through because of medicals for 2 teams, even though the Orioles are more risk averse than we are, and Jeff Hoffman's been fantastic for the Blue Jays. So, of course, that one feels like a little bit more of a miss, but it has to work out for both sides, and that one didn't. And then Tanner Scott chose the Dodgers, and that's his right, and we had to pivot. And then with Jurickson Profar, that one makes you really angry because he was selfish, and people make mistakes and do what they do, but that's when you look at those 3 pegs and those didn't work out, especially with the Jurickson Profar suspension. It looks like Alex Anthopoulos didn't do his job, but in reality, he's done a fantastic job of supplementing it. Yeah, it's going to be rocky, and it's a box of chocolates that we're not used to with Angel De Los Santos. He's been fantastic. Rafael Montero, since coming over in the trade, I think it was for cash. So, he's been amazing. He's gotten out of a lot of jams, some of his own making and some helping out his teammates. But, you know, the walks are a little scratchy at times, but he's been a stabilizing force in that bullpen. De Los Santos, same thing. He was a non-roster invitee. Scott Blewett for cash too. I mean, he's done some nice things for us already with the spot start in the bullpen game and covering some innings when things got a little gross with the Dodgers. You need those mop-up guys too, but he can do multitude of things, and we basically got him for free, I think, from the Orioles. And he had like a 1-something ERA when we got him. So there's yet another guy that you're like, oh, that worked. And so I think the narrative that, yeah, we're cheap and we didn't spend a lot because of the ownership, obviously the ownership wanting to probably cut payroll and all that stuff. That's a thing, and it's annoying. And yeah, you want the great all-star performers and all of that, but when you find guys and they kind of meld right in your bullpen, it looks fantastic. And Alex Anthopoulos and the team giving Daysbel Hernandez those high leverage situations last year when we needed it has kind of proven fruitful for this year. He's been fantastic. And then you, obviously, yes, there's some misses. Griffin Canning's been fantastic for the Mets. Andrew Heaney has been solid, and Jose Quintana. But also, if we would have given those guys contracts, then we wouldn't have seen A.J. Smith-Shawver almost throw a no-hitter last night, or Grant Holmes come into his own. Yeah, you're going to have rocky starts in there. It's just the nature of it. But, who else am I? Grant, and Bryce Elder figuring it out. Yes, Bryce Elder has his moments of, but he's honed in on his craft, changed his two-seamer grip in the last 3 starts, has looked fantastic. I mean, and if you have veteran guys like Griffin Canning, Andrew Heaney, or Jose Quintana, would you love the depth? Yeah. But you kind of block guys that maybe can really help your team, and I think that's a benefit of patience and a little bit of growing pains, even though you want to win every single game because you have to, because you put yourself in the hole of 0-7 and this, that, and the other. But then Eli White understanding his role, and the idea of him playing some infield last year and us realizing, that may be a benefit, and giving him a full chance in spring training to showcase his skills, then make the roster. Then you have the unforeseen situation with Jurickson Profar and the other injuries, but now Eli White stepped in and been a hit machine, some great defensive plays, and just kind of been the stabilizing force. And to realize, well, what if we didn't give those chances? And I know last year was the majority of injuries that kept happening, and you don't want that to happen again, but it also gave the opportunity and showed the Braves that we might have something extra here. So that's also a benefit with crunching your payroll a little bit and realizing what you have and what has transpired. And yeah, the blue chip, the all-star, the guys with the stats on the back of the bubblegum card that you can rely on, those are nice, definitely. But I mean, sometimes you just gotta dig in the dirt, dig in the scrap heap, and find the diamonds in the rough. And you gotta give credit where credit is due, that Alex Anthopoulos has found a lot of that. And giving young guys chances for the starting rotation. Obviously, you want Strider back, you want Ronaldo Lopez back, but you also have been able to see the good sides of development, and some growing pains, and some ugly games, and some ugly at-bats, and all that stuff. I think there's just so many different ways to do it, and yeah, we'd all love the LA payroll or the Yankee payroll, or the fact that we're the All-Star games in Atlanta, and you want to be able to bolster your roster with star-studded players, but sometimes those years just don't happen exactly right away, or the path isn't linear, and I think that is what this year has become. And obviously, I don't think anything's going to be easy this year, obviously, with the hole that we put ourselves in and how well the Mets are playing and all that jazz. But I think that Alex Anthopoulos has done a fantastic job, and he's going to continue to do that. And I'm sure we'll see Craig Kimbrell at some point, and that's another one. We'll see if that turns into another diamond in the rough type of thing. But also, the last thing I wanted to address was Saturday night, I believe, when John Smoltz and Fox had the game. I've always hated the narrative that when you sign a big contract with your hometown team at a hometown discount, that you get too comfortable and that you don't have to try to get better and all that. I absolutely cannot stand that narrative, because I think as a professional athlete, you're not trying to be bad. I mean, like Michael Harris, yeah, let's just go there. Michael Harris signed that contract, was the Rookie of the Year before he signed the contract. It's still going to be a valuable contract no matter how it finishes out, in my opinion, because you saw our defense when Michael Harris was out with that hamstring injury last year. It was not stable at all. And yes, would we love him not to chase and find a way to get his walk rate up and be able to utilize his speed and be able to get on base a little bit more? Yeah. Because does it look a little bit like Ender Inciarte right now? Yeah, maybe, but you still develop. The contract's still amazing because of the defensive value, the positional value, and the outright threat that he is at the plate. Yeah, there's strikeouts in there. Yeah, there's chase. And you're always developing. I don't care what contract you're under. You're always developing. You're always trying to get better. You're always trying to find the consistency, because the game continues to evolve to figure out different ways to get you out. The Matt Olson contract, absolutely amazing. Nobody can tell me different. Yes, he's not Freddie Freeman. I don't care. Matt Olson is Matt Olson. Matt Olson is amazing. Freddie's amazing, but I don't care. He took less money to go to the Dodgers. Good for him. But let's remember that Freddie really wasn't the reason that we beat the Dodgers. Eddie Rosario, Tyler Matzik, and a lot of other guys, where Freddie struck out 7 consecutive times to start the NLCS. So, and the fact that is still a conversation 4 years later, I'm going to leave it at everybody got what they wanted. Alex Anthopoulos didn't do it, but he put us in the best position after Freddie decided what he decided, and his agents decided what they decided. So that's all I'm going to say on that. But I think, and Sean Murphy, yeah, the power and then the walk rate has been better. You want a little more, and he wants a little more. But honestly, last year, I don't think he could actually see, and the glasses are making it so much better. And the reality of Sean Murphy is that he's one of the best defensive catchers in baseball, be a blocking baseballs. The stolen base against had been an issue early on in the season. That's kind of calmed down nicely, so that is a really, really good thing. And I think his ability to lead pitchers through jams and through the tough times and just be a calming presence back there, that contract is worth every penny, in my opinion. The offensive numbers are what the offensive numbers are. 7 homers, 14 RBIs, and the average is the average, but honestly, batting average is important, don't get me wrong, but these pitchers are absolutely have rockets connected to their arms and the breaking stuff. I don't know how anyone gets a hit every single day. I watch baseball. So average is important, but it's not the end all be all. But Sean Murphy does so much for this team that kind of never shows up in a box score. Same thing with Michael Harris. So getting complacent because you sign a contract to give you financial stability and all that stuff, some of that may be a factor, but I just really hate that that's a narrative for the Braves just because we struggled against the Dodgers and Padres in 0-7, and it was disgusting, it was gross, and in every sense of the word, but I feel like there's not a lot of talk with other teams with complacency, contract, blah, 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 other than the Braves, and I think that's a little short-sighted, and I think that, yeah, could they be performing better? Do they want to be performing better? Yes, but baseball is hard, and you can't convince me that they're trying to struggle, they're trying to be bad. It's just not a thing. Baseball is hard, and getting a contract, you get a contract for a reason, and the value of that contract is still going to be team friendly and still going to be good for me, because baseball there's a lot more to baseball than just hitting with runners in scoring position, even though it's a huge factor, but you can win a game in so many different ways, and Michael Harris and Sean Murphy and Matt Olson and all the Spencer Strider, I know he's been injured, but all the contracts have been valuable in so many different ways, and the clubhouse has been amazing, and the leadership and all that stuff, all those factors factor into the contract and the value and what it means. Obviously, the ultimate goal is the wins, the playoffs, the World Series, all that. But contracts aren't just offensive numbers, and I think some people just go to a straight line, and obviously we all have our opinions and agree or disagree, whatever, but teams are constructed in so many different ways that you that's why I wanted to do this, because you kind of step back and see how this 2025 roster has come together, and you like to see the evolutions and the different things that you continue to see us try to do to maximize our win probabilities and things of that nature, and it's fantastic. And I know Tim Heyer's approach, you love it sometimes, but you miss the home run power. You want both, but sometimes it takes a minute to meld the two together, and I think we're starting to see that a little bit like somebody said on Twitter, have your cake and eat it too. But I think there's a delicate balance, and you can see some of our hitters like trying to they're in between on that, and that's just because baseball is so hard. But I like for the most part, the ability and the different things that Tim Hires and company have implemented, because I think in the long run that is really going to help you, because if you grind the starting pitcher to a nub, then you get to the bullpens quicker where they can't use their high leverage guys in the fourth, fifth innings, and you might have a better chance to make some things happen in that way. Yeah, the runners in scoring position thing has gone back to annoying, but I think that's the ebbs and flows of baseball, and so I wanted to just make sure I gave some credit to Tim Hires. I know there's been a lot of frustrating things, but the reality is that that's just going to continue to happen, and it's just going to be a different way that the Braves have gone about winning and doing different things and how we've done it. It's a different, more interesting puzzle that I felt like that needed credit. I know it's not perfect, and obviously we wouldn't want to be under 500 and digging out of the hole that we dug ourselves, but I think there's a lot more positives than everybody wants to admit, kind of. But as always, go Braves, champions forever. Hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. Helps out a lot. Thanks, guys.